Some families don't break you with hate. They break you by pretending you were never worth noticing at all. I was born exactly 3 years after my sister, Amanda. She had golden hair, straight A's, a laugh that made people lean in, and the kind of confidence that only comes from being told, over and over, that you are destined for great things. I had quiet hands, dark curls, and a mind that worked sideways, not less, just differently. But in our house, different wasn't celebrated. It was corrected. At every birthday, she got what she asked for. At mine, I got what was reasonable. Amanda took piano lessons, dance classes, college prep tutoring. I asked once to join a writing camp. My mom said, maybe next year. There was never a next year. When Amanda brought home a B+, my dad took her out for ice cream. When I got an A-, he looked over the top of his paper and said, you finally tried. She was the star. I was the stagehand. No one ever said it outright, that I was the lesser daughter. They didn't have to. It was in the way they leaned toward her at dinner. The way my mom always found time to drive Amanda to her cheer practice but forgot my science fair until the night before. In high school, she was homecoming queen. I was the girl in the back row of the yearbook photo, cropped at the shoulder. When Amanda talked about going to college, they practically threw her a parade. When I said I wanted to go too, my dad laughed. College, he said. For what? You're not like Amanda. He didn't mean it as an insult. That made it worse. Because for them, I was never worth hurting. Just bypassing. They loved me, I think. But love isn't always loud enough to be heard when it's smothered under comparison. And somewhere in the silence, I made a decision. If they wouldn't see me, I'd make sure the world did. You never forget the first time someone tells you you're not worth investing in. I waited until after dinner to bring it up. Amanda had already gone upstairs to video chat with her boyfriend, her empty plate left for me to clean again. My dad was nursing a beer, and my mom was scrolling through her phone. I sat down across from them and laid the brochures on the table. College. Applications. Deadlines. I'd already done the research. Picked schools with strong programs. Affordable options. A plan. I had a plan. I want to apply, I said. I just need help with the fees. And maybe with books, if I get in. They didn't look up right away. My mom gave a little hum, like she hadn't heard me. Then my dad chuckled, that dry, dismissive laugh he gave whenever something was cute, but unrealistic. College, he said. Come on, sweetheart. I'm serious. He shook his head. You know we can't afford 2 tuition bills. Amanda's already got scholarships, but there's still room and board. And she's got a real shot at something big. I do too, I said, my voice small but steady. I've been working really hard. For what? My mom cut in, finally looking up. You're not like your sister. You struggle with math. You get distracted. You're not academic. The way she said it, soft, final, like she was protecting me from disappointment. Like I should be grateful they weren't pretending. You'd be better off working at the cafe. Build something real. Don't waste time chasing something you're not built for. Something I'm not built for. I gathered the brochures, stood up, and nodded. That was the moment. The click in my chest when something closed forever. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. But I knew right then, if they wouldn't help me climb, I'd start digging my own ladder. Even if I had to do it with my bare hands. When no one else bits on you, even the smallest kindness can feel like a revolution. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the brochures fanned out beside me like tombstones to a future already dismissed. My parents had made up their minds. Amanda was the one worth building up. I was meant to stay behind, to help out, to smile politely while she soared. But I wasn't done. There was still one number I hadn't called. The next morning, I dialed my grandmother. She answered on the second ring. Her voice was the kind of soft that could still cut through steel when she needed it to. She listened to everything, the brochures, the refusal, the words, you're not built for it. I didn't cry. Not until she said, they don't see you. But I do. That afternoon, she and my grandfather drove over. She brought a box of lemon bars. He brought a stack of legal pads. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where my father laughed at my dreams, and they helped me fill out every application, every grant, every essay. Weeks passed. Then came the letters. Accepted. 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 But acceptance alone doesn't pay tuition. And that's when they did something I still struggle to put into words. They sold their land. Not their house, their second property, the one they'd inherited and kept just in case. You were the case, Grandpa said. They wrote a check for my first year. Enough to cover everything until I could find my own footing. My parents didn't try to stop me. They just didn't say goodbye. The day I left for college, Amanda was at a bridal expo. My mom was working. My dad never came out of his room. I looked around the house one last time and made a promise. I'll come back different. Not for them. For me. And I drove away. Alone. But not defeated. You don't climb out of the pit by leaping. You do it hand over hand, one brutal inch at a time. College wasn't glamorous. I worked 2 jobs, one at the library, one cleaning offices before dawn. I bought second-hand books, packed peanut butter sandwiches, and mastered the art of stretching $10 into 5 meals. But I was there. Every lecture felt like a rebellion. Every paper I submitted was another stone in the foundation of the life I was building, a life they told me I couldn't have. It wasn't easy. I failed my first stats exam. I cried in the stairwell after being passed over for an internship. But I kept going. I didn't have the luxury of stopping. I graduated without fanfare. No family in the stands, no flowers, no proud Instagram post. Just a borrowed gown and the weight of a degree that felt like a sword I'd forged myself. The job market didn't open its arms, either. I spent a year working at a temp agency, answering phones in windowless offices, filing for executives who couldn't remember my name. But I was learning, watching, paying attention. And eventually, someone noticed. A recruiter from a mid-sized firm pulled me aside and said, "You've got edge. We like that." I didn't understand what he meant at first. Now I do. Edge was hunger. I took a junior analyst role. The hours were brutal. The pressure constant. But I made it count. Every report I wrote? Flawless. Every meeting? Prepared. Every doubt they threw my way? I crushed it. 2 years later, I was promoted. 3 years after that, I was recruited by one of the biggest investment firms in the city. And last fall, I signed the papers on a high-rise condo overlooking the skyline. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Polished concrete floors. A view that reminded me every morning what it took to get there. No one helped me unpack. But that was okay. Because for the first time, I wasn't trying to be seen. I was already standing where they never thought I'd reach. They come back not when you're struggling, but when you've built something they think they're still entitled to. It started with a voicemail. I didn't recognize the number at first. The voice, familiar, rehearsed, belonged to my mother. Just calling to say hello. "It's been a long time. Hope you're well." I didn't respond. Then came an email. This time from Amanda. Subject, exciting news. She was getting married. The pictures were attached, her in a white dress, smiling beside a man I didn't recognize. The message was sugary sweet, how she'd always wanted me there, how she hoped this could be a fresh start. At the bottom, in bold, "We're aiming for a $300,000 wedding. Mom and Dad can only cover part. Could you pitch in for half? You're doing so well now." No mention of the college they said I couldn't handle. No apology for the years of silence. Just a number. A request. As if I were still standing in the background of their photo, wallet open, smile in place. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then another email came from my father. "You should be happy for your sister. We all make sacrifices for family." The word family rang hollow. Because when I needed my family, help, support, belief, they handed me a mop and a paycheck at the family cafe. And now? Now that I'd built something alone, they wanted a piece. They didn't see me. They saw my success. They weren't proud. They were opportunistic. I closed the laptop. And I felt no guilt. Because I'd finally realized something I wished I'd known years ago. You don't owe anything to people who only remember your name when there's a check to write. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't curse. I just finally said the one thing they never expected, no. I took 2 days before responding. Not because I was unsure, but because I wanted to choose my words with the same precision I'd used to build the life they once said I didn't deserve. My email was short. "I won't be contributing to Amanda's wedding. This is not out of spite, but out of principle. When I needed help, you refused me. You told me I wasn't capable, that I wasn't worth investing in. I will not fund a celebration for people who only remember me when I'm useful. I wish you well, but I am not your bank. And I am not your backup plan." Send. Silence. Then came the real storm. A flurry of calls and texts. My mother crying, my father accusing, Amanda raging. "You're bitter. You're ungrateful. You're destroying what's left of this family." But they were wrong. This family was already gone. It dissolved the day they decided my dreams were optional. It disappeared when they pushed me aside for someone easier to believe in. Now, they wanted generosity without acknowledgement. Money without memory. support without responsibility. And I wouldn't give it to them. Not out of vengeance. Out of self-respect. I blocked the numbers, marked the emails as spam, and then I sat in my kitchen, staring at the city lights below my window, and whispered something to myself that I'd waited years to believe. I am enough, and I owe no one for that. You don't need to burn bridges when you've already built better ones without their help. I never heard back from Amanda. Or maybe I did. I stopped checking. The wedding happened, I'm sure. There were no headlines, no drama that reached me. Just silence. And for the first time, it wasn't painful. It was a gift. I continued working, growing, living. My firm promoted me to director. I started mentoring young women, the kind people overlook. The kind I used to be. I told them, you don't need permission. Just momentum. My grandparents, now retired and content, visit often. We sit on my balcony and laugh about how things used to be and how far we've all come. I take care of them now. Not out of obligation, but gratitude. They were the ones who saw me. They were the reason I had a fighting chance. And that chance, I took it all the way. The last time Amanda reached out, it wasn't about money. It was a message with no subject. Just one line. I miss you. I stared at it for a long time. I didn't reply. Not because I hate her. Because I finally understood something they never did. Forgiveness is not the same as access. And missing me isn't the same as valuing me. I closed the message and went back to my life. Not bitter. Not broken. Just full. My world is quiet now. But in that quiet is everything I once begged them to see. Strength, peace, and a future I built without anyone's permission. I don't know if I'll ever speak to them again. And for the first time in my life, I don't feel the need to.